Hey guys, I decided to do a quick video. Actually, I might do a series of videos just to break them up so I don't have one long video explaining the process of connecting a MP8K or a MicroProStar up to a computer, in this case a Windows 7 computer. Of course, this computer is a newer, actually it's kind of old, but anyway, it's a newer computer, so it doesn't have a serial port. And Dan Thompson provided me some written instructions on how to build a USB cable. And he specified it's actually a FTDI USB cable that just has bare wire, the bare wires on one end. And here is the actual type you need. It's a TTL-232R-5V-WE. And this quick search I did here shows there's some sources here. They're roughly 20 bucks. Now I was lucky, I actually found one on eBay that someone had. I think I paid $12 for it, and it is an actual FTDI branded one. It was in FTDI packaging. I have read that if you get a counterfeit version of this, that you sometimes have issues getting the drivers to work, so I just went ahead and went with a genuine FTDI, which I think if you buy from any of these sources, Allied Electronics, Mauser Electronics, I think DigiKey carries them also. And if you go that route, you're going to pay probably around 20 bucks for the cable. And then you also need an RJ12 connector, which looks like a regular phone plug, only it has 6 teeth in it instead of 4. And you'll also need, apologize for my workbench, I'm in the middle of covering an airplane, so I got all my irons and stuff out. You need a crimping tool. This will do RJ11, 12, and RJ45. Has a cutter there also. So you'll need that to crimp the connector. And as Dan pointed out in my post, when I was having some issues getting this all to work, he indicated to me that I ended up using let me see if I can get it close enough. I used all of the wires and just put them in the sequence where I had the orange on this far side, and then the yellow, and then the ground, the black ground is second from the far left on this side. But I had to use all the wires to get the spacing correct, because this particular RJ12 connector doesn't have individual channels that segregate each wire going down here to where these teeth crimp into the wire when you use the crimp tool. So to make sure, I didn't have one jump out of its track and get, either side of where it needed to be, I ran all the wires so I had my spacing correct. And Dan indicated to me that on the the COM port on the radios, there's a power tap to that port, which I do see now that I took a look at it. And he indicated to me that having that red wire wired in, or having all the wires wired into that connector, could cause me problems. And I did notice when I had this plugged into the USB port, this would get where the chip is, the serial converter chip. This part would get very hot, and I thought that was kind of odd. And so I followed Dan's advice to go ahead and cut all those wires except for the 3 I need, the black, yellow, and orange. I can't get it to focus. So those are the only 3. The rest of them, as you can see, have been cut. And so if anybody makes one of these, if you have to do what I do and use all of the wires to get your spacing for when you accomplish your crimp, go back and cut those other wires and leave just the black, yellow, and orange in place, because those are the only three that you need. Okay, and I'll have these links to what I'm going to show you now. You need to download from the FTDI website the D2XX direct drivers. And let's see, if you scroll down, I'll have these links down in the description. You can come down here for Windows, and it tells you what all versions down here that it works with. Windows 7, Windows Server, 2008 R2, Windows 8, 8.1, and it says Windows 10 also. And then it has a note down here for that they're no longer Microsoft certified for XP and Vista. So if you have Windows 7 or higher, you can just come here, click on this link here for the drivers, or you can download and run this executable, the setup program, and it'll install the drivers where they need to be. So it'll basically just be plug and play. When you plug that USB cable in, it'll find the appropriate drivers and install them. Or if you do it this route, wherever you save this to, you'll have to go in your device manager and go to update driver and point to that location to get the drivers. You can do it either way. And then after you get the USB cable connected, you need to go to the FTDI website, to their utilities, and download this MPROG 3.5. And it says here that there's another utility, newer utility, that replaced it, but I didn't have any problems using this. You can download it by clicking right there, and then install it on your computer. And of course, this also references that you need those D2XX drivers that I was just explaining about. So you need to install the drivers, get the computer communicating with the cable, then the MPROG program programs the serial converter chip that's actually in the cable. And there's two things that you need to modify in that program, which I'll show you here in just a second. So let's go ahead and let me minimize this, and we'll go ahead and plug it in, and I'll go to the device manager and show you what it should look like once you get the drivers loaded. And an easy way to do that, instead of going through control panel, is you can just right click on computer and click manage. I don't know why it's so slow. I think they're downloading an update, Windows update or something. And then click on device manager here in the left pane. And under the USB controllers, you want to see USB serial converter. And then you also want to see under ports, common LPT ports, you want to see it say USB serial port. And in this case, mine has assigned this cable to COM port 12, which you'll have to remember that number for later on if you're going to try to run any of the MP8K utilities that Dan wrote. So if yours doesn't look like this, or if it has the little caution sign with the exclamation point, you don't have the drivers installed correctly. So you need at that point to update. But as long as you're using the ones that I referenced just a minute ago, you shouldn't have any issues. Okay, the next step is to run the MPROG program. So let me go ahead and run that. Okay, so it's going to come up to the screen, and if you come to device and scan, see down here it says number of program devices 1. That is this cable, the chip that's in that cable. And so if you come over here to tools and click read and parse, it's going to read the programming that is on the chip and show it here on the screen. And really the only thing that you need to change is right here. Those check marks weren't there from the factory to invert the transmit and receive of the data. So go ahead and check those 2 boxes to invert the transmit and receive. So you should have put those 2 check marks in those 2 boxes. And that's really all you need to do with this program. Now, anytime you make a change, it's going to go and it's going to say it's in edit mode. So before you can send what changes you made back to the card in the cable, you need to save, you need to save this profile. In my case, I just named it Smartcable. EPT is the EPROM program template, is the type of file that it is. So yeah, mine's gonna ask me to replace it since I've already done all this. Now once you've done that, you can come to this icon right here, or you can do it under device and program. And what you should see down here is program serial number, and that's the serial number of that chip that's in the cable. So that just successfully did it. Now you can cycle the port, and what it did just then is disconnected, and it's going to reconnect that cable. Okay, so now it's reading the cable again. Let's go ahead and reread what's on that chip. So it still shows those 2 boxes checked. So when you first plug yours in and you click read and parse, all those boxes are going to be empty. So you need to put a check mark in those 2. Save that template, save it as a template, and then after you save it, you'll be able to come here to device and then hit program there, or either click this little lightning bolt icon right here, and that will program the chip with those changes. So as far as the cable itself goes, that's what's involved to build the cable. Get the correct drivers loaded so that it establishes the COM port and shows up as a serial USB converter in Device Manager. And then in the next video, I'll show you connecting an MP8K and running 3 different utilities that Dan has. There's one for creating the pilot name in the radio. So when you power your radio on, if you hold down the option button while you power it on, it shows the pilot name or owner name, whatever you want to say, down here in the LCD. And then there's a MP8K to PC program, and that allows you to pull any saved model memories off of the radio and save them onto the computer. So of course you can save an unlimited amount of model setups on the computer, but you can only hold 8 in the MP8K. So then you can go back and you can tell it with this program, okay, I want to send the following models back to the radio, and you can actually tell what model memory slot, 1 through 8, that you want to save a particular model to. So you could have, like, let's say 50 different models set up and transfer to your computer, and then at any time you can transfer any 8 of those to the radio. So that's just one way of kind of expanding the model memory, is by using your PC to do that. And then there's also a diagnostic program that shows you, that all the pots and switches are working. And then in the third video, I'll do a video on plugging in your MicroProStar and utilizing the MicroStar 2000 software, which is very powerful. You can actually program an entire model memory and use the tables in there to set up curves. You can set up all your mixes, endpoints, expo, the whole 9 yards, alternate aircraft, change all your flight modes, all that kind of stuff, switch assignments. And same thing, you can save all your model memories to the computer. You can save individual ones to the computer, transfer them back and forth between the computer to the radio and vice versa, create new model memories in the PC program, and then transfer them to the radio. So it's really powerful programming. And that's it. I'll see you in the next video.